Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video, to another all new news channel that we got in store for you today. Got some big stories to talk about and some interesting developing stories to talk about as well as we dive straight into the headlines that are buzzing around the world of football right now. But of course, as I always say, before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the headlines. Our first story brings us to a player who has returned to the Premier League. Philippe Coutinho is back in England's top flight division. The Brazilian playmaker has signed for Aston Villa on loan, and it's also being said that there is an option to buy clause within that contract should his loan spell at the club prove to be a success. We know about Coutinho's time at Barcelona. We know it's almost 4 years to the day, 4 years as of yesterday, I believe, that he left Liverpool to join Barcelona in that monumental, massive, major £142 million transfer to the Spanish Giants. And despite going on to win a number of winners' medals with Barcelona and everything that happened with his managed club, his on-the-pitch performances were actually seemingly pretty poor, and he didn't quite live up to the expectation that his transfer fee and obviously going to a big club like Barcelona kind of had on him to deliver. The weight of expectation on his shoulders proved to be too much, and I actually argue that his best season whilst at Barcelona was when he went on loan to Bayern Munich during the 2019-2020 season, in which the German Giants, of course, won the major treble. So it was actually a pretty rough time playing for Barcelona during them 4 years. But he's back. He's back in the Premier League. He's been linked with a lot of speculation surrounding the 29-year-old for a while. He was linked with a number of Premier League clubs, even as early as this week. But it was Aston Villa's interest that mainly stuck around, and as it's proven, Villa are the team to have signed the 29 Brazilian playmaker. It'll be interesting to see how Coutinho fits in with his new squad. It'll be interesting to see how he takes back to being within the Premier League again. Like I say, obviously we know about Coutinho from mainly his time with Liverpool a few years ago, but he's since gone on to obviously join Barcelona in La Liga. It'll be interesting to see if he can hit the reset button on his career. It'll be interesting to see if he can get his career back on track and how well he takes back to the Premier League once more. But of course, the underlying story here, the big narrative behind this transfer, one of the major reasons why Coutinho was attracted to joining Aston Villa in the first place is that he will be reuniting with Aston Villa manager Steven Gerrard, of course, who Coutinho played alongside during their time together at Liverpool. So that may help him settle in quicker and easier, and maybe Gerrard got to know him a little bit more, and maybe even as a player, maybe learned how to sort of manage him and get the best out of him. So maybe he's got a bit of a head start when it comes to knowing each other and knowing each other's game. Either way, it'll be very interesting to see how Coutinho gets on with his new club and if he can get his career back on track going forward. Next up, we come to the subject of one Divock Origi, whose transfer speculation continues to grow. Coming from Sky Sports News, the representatives of Divock Origi have allegedly been contacted by 3 Italian clubs, unnamed Italian clubs it seems, over pre-contract negotiations. The Belgian striker is out of contract with the Reds in the summer, and it seems that Liverpool will not stand in his way if he wants to leave the club in pursuit of first-team football. The 26-year-old has written himself into Anfield folklore, of course, during his time with Liverpool, scoring some incredible, some important, and even at times very late goals, including his 2 goals that he scored in Liverpool's comeback in the Champions League semi-final second leg against Barcelona a few years ago, and then of course the goal that fully secured Liverpool's 6th Champions League title several weeks later. But with Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino and Diogo Jota all jostling for starting positions across the Reds' front three, Origi has to put up with being the backup to those three, as he's quite versatile and can play anywhere really across that forward line. But with entering his prime years, being 26 years of age and having been with the club for the past 7 years, he originally did sign for the club in 2014, but had that obviously loan spell back with Lille when he was sent back there following signing in 2014. So he didn't actually arrive at the club until 2015. And he had also a season later on in his career where he was on loan at Wolfsburg sometime afterwards. It just seems like maybe it's the right time for him to move on. As stated, Origi has 6 months left on his contract with the Reds, which means he's able to enter pre-contract negotiations with other clubs, which, if reports are to be believed, then 3 Italian clubs are seemingly very interested in securing his services. However, there's a possibility he could not leave this. He could actually leave this month instead, and Liverpool might be able to cash in a little bit on him and get some money out of him whilst he's still there. He is allegedly a supposed target and an interest of Newcastle. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. We know that the Magpies takeover has seen them pretty much linked with every single footballer under the sun, so take it for what it's worth, whatever that may be. But either way, it does seem like there are a lot of options available for one Divock Origi. We're sticking with Liverpool for our next story because whilst Origi might be leaving, they might also be acquiring someone if reports are to be believed. And there was a very interesting story yesterday linking them with a move for Luis Diaz. Now, the reports came out yesterday claiming that Liverpool were close to signing the Porto winger after tracking him and monitoring him for a while. The deal is set to be in the region of £60 million should it obviously go ahead and be completed. The Colombian has scored 14 goals in 24 appearances for Porto in all competitions this season, including 12 goals in the Portuguese league in 15 appearances. He's also registered 5 assists in all competitions as well during that time. So it's a pretty productive and very decent output from the winger. And overall, he just seems to be productive in an attacking sense all round. Not just in terms of what he's producing in terms of goals and assists, but he's also not afraid of taking shots on, taking on players. And roughly has created 2 chances per game this season. 2 clear-cut chances per game this season. All in all, this seems like it would be a very good deal. Admittedly, I don't know a great deal about him, or I didn't know a great deal about him before I started doing my research into him, but from the things that I've heard and seen, and from the little that I know about him from watching him in certain Champions League games, this seems like a very typical Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool kind of signing. A inverted winger, plays on the left, right-footed, inverted, so that is obviously a thing that Jurgen Klopp kind of likes to have within his ranks. He's going to challenge Sadio Mane, it seems, if he does come in. He, like I say, very productive in an attacking sense, someone who's 24 years of age, so still has time to grow whilst also being here for the present. And just someone who will improve Liverpool's attacking options in terms of both quality and quantity, and really, what more could you ask? As good as what it sounds, it does sound pretty perfect from what we know about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp's kind of transfer dealings. However, the imperfect thing about it is that obviously I don't expect it to happen. Could a deal be done? Yes, it is obviously possible. Anything is possible with Liverpool and anything is possible in football. But do I expect it to be done? No, because, alright, maybe not right now. Maybe this is more of a deal that maybe could be done in the summer. But it seems unlikely that it will happen right now, simply for the reason that the price tag of 60 million, I feel like, is a fee that Liverpool do not wish or do not want to pay. I feel like Liverpool, if they are trying to buy someone this window, are looking for someone who's maybe just below half of that 60 million. And maybe they are trying to negotiate the price tag down to 30 odd million or whatever it may be. But whilst it is a very intriguing transfer story to talk about, I highly doubt that it will happen. But nonetheless, it is worth keeping an eye on anyway. Our next story brings us on to Ruben Neves, a very interesting story developing with him. Could he be about to move on from Wolves and join possibly Manchester United? News has come out over the past couple of days that Ruben Neves is allegedly ready to make the step up in his career and leave Wolves looking for a bigger challenge and a bigger team to go to elsewhere. We've known and saw for a while now that he's been tipped to eventually move on from Wolves and make the step up in his career. And if reports are to be believed, then it might be happening sooner rather than later. Manchester United have constantly been linked with his name, and it seems that they are again the frontrunners in this scenario to take the Portuguese midfielder off of Wolves' hands. Once again, they've been heavily linked with the Portuguese midfielder. And like I say, if things continue to develop, it could happen by the end of this transfer window. However unlikely that may now seem. In typical fashion, interesting and exciting transfer news seems to follow United following a shock defeat. Maybe not so much of a shock defeat, but just a shocking defeat at that. Don't get me wrong, Neves is a very good player. I actually rate Ruben Neves very highly. And I still think he can develop into being a really big midfield future star. He was a big factor in Wolves' 1-0 win over United on Monday night, of course, and I don't doubt that there is some sort of interest from United themselves and maybe from a lot of other teams from around Europe. But it's just typical United, isn't it? It's just typical United that they throw this kind of transfer story out there following a bad defeat, and it gets fans excited, and they use the media propaganda to try and make people believe that this story will definitely happen, and try and get fans to be back on side, try and get fans excited and optimistic about the future, about their future transfers, and so on and so forth. So read into this as much as you want. I don't necessarily buy it for at least the January transfer window. Maybe the summer transfer window possibly, but even then, Neves alone isn't going to be solving United's in-house problems. United got a lot of problems. Neves isn't going to come in and solve them instantly or even on his own. And to be honest, even if there is interest from both sides on this one, I'd plead for Neves to remain just a little bit patient. There's a possibility that if Wolves can find a consistent enough goal scorer, they could finish above United this season and actually gain European football ahead of the Red Devils. So maybe the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But whatever happens, Ruben Neves is certainly one name to look out for in the future. Next to a story that we briefly talked about a couple of days ago revolving around Luis Diaz. The Everton left-back seems to have been given the green light to leave Goodison Park and leave Everton this January should a suitable bid come in for the Frenchman. And apparently a couple of days ago, a bid actually came in for him from Newcastle. Sky Sports reported that Newcastle had submitted a £22.5 million bid plus midfielder Sean Longstaff for Diaz as a part exchange deal. Always tricky to do these types of deals. Because they require all parties to kind of play ball. They require all parts of this deal to move in the right direction. And because of, obviously, the past 24 hours or so, talks died down a little bit on Diaz, and this kind of story went a little bit nowhere. Either Everton are stalling, or maybe this bid was just instantly rejected and we just haven't heard anything from it because talks have died down seemingly completely. But, however, the man in the know on all these kind of things, on all things transfers for Fabrizio Romano, has stated that Diaz has no interest in signing for Newcastle, which could also be another reason for it. He took to Twitter a couple of days ago when the Newcastle interest in Diaz was said to be really high, but he wrote that Luis Diaz will decide his next club soon. He'll leave Everton with Premier League move likely, but he's not going to Newcastle despite rumours not even an option. No, Chelsea are interested since weeks, but no official talks opened with Everton yet. Now, he's normally right on these kind of things, of course. He definitely has more knowledge than, say, I do on these particular matters. But it isn't to say that he's perfect or he is completely right in this case. Maybe Digne will prove to actually go to Newcastle. Maybe there'll be some sort of U-turn in there. Or maybe Fabrizio is completely right on this. It remains to be seen, of course. It'd be interesting to see how this one develops. But of course, the Chelsea rumours continue to linger on this potential deal. And with Ben Chilwell, like I said a couple of days ago, ruled out for the rest of the season, it'll be interesting to see how the Blues look to kind of provide cover for that area. Whether it is signing someone like Digne to come in this transfer window, or maybe looking at maybe their academy and seeing if there's anyone there ready to step up. It will be interesting to see what Chelsea and how Chelsea conduct themselves in this transfer window. But it will also be more interesting to see where Luis Digne's future lies. And finally, to wrap up this video, we come to the story about Kieran Trippier. We talked about it a few times this week, but finally it is all done, dusted, confirmed, made official, wrapped up, however you want to put it, because the England right-back has finally secured and confirmed his move away from Atletico Madrid to join Newcastle. Like I say, we talked about it earlier this week. The 31-year-old right-back has signed for Newcastle United for an initial fee of £12 million up front, plus add-ons from the Spanish giants of Atletico Madrid. Like I say, I've gone over it a few times this week. I'm not prepared to go over old ground again. So if you haven't already seen the videos that I talked about this transfer, go back and watch them in the previous videos that I've done this week. But basically, this is the first signing of a new era at Newcastle United. One to get excited about. It doesn't appear that Newcastle are finished there in terms of their transfers this month. So watch this space on that one. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the news topics that I talked about in this video? What do you make of the Philippe Coutinho situation, seeing him back in the Premier League once again? What do you make of Divock Origi's footballing future and where it lies? What do you make of Luis Diaz, the transfer linking him with a move to Liverpool? Intriguing, but is it realistic? What do you make of Ruben Neves to Manchester United? Is it genuine? Is it just Manchester United propaganda? What do you make of that story? And what do you make of the Luis Diaz situation? Where does his footballing future lie? And also, what do you make of Kieran Trippier officially signing for Newcastle, being the first signing of Newcastle's new era? I'd love to read your thoughts, comments, opinions and predictions down below in the comment section regarding all of these topics. I'm sure it will make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. I want to see more content like this. Both things always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Tells video. And I will see you all again soon in another video.